Hello. I don't know if I'm a wee bit early. I might be a wee bit early. I'm talking to myself anyway. Oh, there's one person watching. 3. I'm getting there. I think I might have been a bit early. Sorry, apologies. Oh. Well, I can tell you, I feel like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. And thank goodness it's Friday. Although I don't know why Friday makes any difference. I'm sure it's psychological. Anyway, we're at the end of the week, as we know it. And it'll be same old Saturday and Sunday. Anyway, so there we have it. We have... we've had quite the week, really, actually. So today's job was lovely. It was a new place, and that Carol and I took our rabbit, Moose, and Larky, and it was a really lovely visit. Lots of very interesting people, and a phenomenal number of staff, which was really nice, because that's one of the things we've always said, is that it is so lovely doing these outreach jobs, because we not only see the people who are in the facilities, but we also provide the same service, we hope, to the staff there, who do an admirable job. So it was a very, very nice visit today, and it went very well. So that was lovely. I did, of course, forget to say to Carol, thank you so very much for my cards. I meant to say to her in person, and I can only apologise. I've got a mind that just focuses on one thing, and that is keeping Moose and Larky happy, obviously, and safe. So there. I better get these cards and things done. First off, I have an envelope from Dee, and this is for the rescue. And thank you very much, Dee. That's very kind of you. So I'm going to pop that back in there and hold on to that. Now this one here is for Goldy's farm, also from Dee, and she's got a beautiful kingfisher on the front of the card. And I have only ever seen a live kingfisher once, and it was when Nick was working in Bath in England, and our son Callum and I, we went down to stay with him, and we went down the river. I presume it must have been the River Avon. And we went down the river on a boat, and the kingfishers were just sitting on the branches at the side. And that was the first time I'd ever seen live kingfishers. And they are just so stunning. Absolutely tiny, but so stunning. Thank you very much. Now, this is a donation for Goldies, and I have to remember that we are 10 henny pennies and 10 hay bales. So that needs to be entered accordingly. So, since we've got our new totally and utterly organised system. And this is a card that came in from Goldies, and it is from Christmas. And it says, thank you so much for bringing in your animals. All the kids loved it. Because of you, we were able to make a difference in so many lives. Thank you. And that's from Ipswich Interact. So that was really lovely. So this is what it says on the inside. We would like to thank you for your support of this year's Jingle Bell Walk. With your help, we were able to create magical memories for hundreds of kids in the community. We also raised over $3,500 that we will use to support our service projects in Ipswich and in our world throughout our club's charitable outreaches. There we go. So that's a lovely card. Thank you very much. Now, these came through, and these are from oh my God, I need glasses. Cygrove, I hope that's right, in Arizona. And look what they are. They are perfect poo pickers, just as Carleen likes them. Thank you so very much. Now, I will say somebody else did send in poo pickers. Let me just double check the name because I've got them here. Thank you for these. These are much appreciated. And Jan Clark, she also sent in poo pickers because Carleen was worried that she was about to run out of poo pickers. So that is also much appreciated and keeps Carleen calm. So this came in, and this is from me, from Hilda. And look, thank you. You know, it's really funny. I've never read these books, and I'm a voracious reader. So I very much appreciate this. This is Outlander, which I'm told is set in Scotland by everybody I meet. And this is Dragonfly in Amber. So thank you. She says these are to get me started. And I very greatly appreciate those because I am finding myself going to bed very early at the moment and reading until I go to sleep. So those will help me on my way. Thank you. Those are very thoughtful. Now, Nick is not well. He came back from California with the California allergy. No idea what it is, but he unfortunately is not very well. So the poor man, I'm at one end of the house, he's at the other end of the house, and when he's in the common areas, he's wearing a mask, which is very considerate of him. So I'm hoping that he gets better soon because there's nothing worse. That's over a week he's not been well. So poor boy. So, and Carleen is doing just fine. The water, she phoned me. I was doing afternoon chores on Meredith, and she called me and she said, "Where are you? The water's not working." I was like, "Oh, heaven help me." I said, "Well, unfortunately," I said, "I'm on Meredith doing the chores. So, yeah, you're on your own." I said, "Why don't we call Justin?" So she called Justin and then discovered that there was actually work going on the mains up at the at Route 1, and to get the water all back online for everybody, they had to shut us all off. So the water appears to be back on and it appears to be working, and so that is good news. I, however, thinking ahead, thought, oh my goodness, it's going to be horrific because I have water in the barn for emergency uses should I need to put it out. So everybody was going to have drinking water. But what I was a bit worried about was the fact that I make my my evening meal, and my evening meal consists of medalist pellets, shredded beet, and whatever additives each different set of animal gets, and it's all mixed together with hot water. So I made up the medalist pellets and the shredded beet on Meredith and transported it here. So I have actually stolen Kate's big yellow tub. So I don't think she watches Mail Chat, which is quite a relief because I'll have to get it back tomorrow. But she's probably noticed, so I'll be in the bad books. So everybody has had dinner and it's snowing. It's disgusting. I've decided not to watch the weather any longer because I've just given up. Apparently it was 70 and sunny in South Carolina, which doesn't help, really, actually, quite frankly. But it is snowing, and there's been this, I don't know if you describe the sky as leaden over here. We use that term in Scotland, but it's definitely been a very leaden sky all day, and now it's produced snow. And apparently there's going to be about, depends on who you listen to, there's apparently going to be about a foot of snow over the weekend. My weather forecast app doesn't say that, so I don't really actually know what's what, but yeah, anyway. I tell you, Carleen and I went to court yesterday, and I drive her into the back car park, and there's a back door, which you're not really supposed, there it should be back again, which you're not really supposed to go in, but because she's got it's the closest we can get her, and so I dropped her off there, and a security guard let her in. So I went to park the car and then go in the front entrance, and I got to the front entrance, and you obviously quite naturally have to go through the security system. So I went through the first time, and the woman said, you need to come back, because I'd set the alarm off. I was like, okay, right. She said, do you have a belt on? I said, yes. So I took my belt off, no problem at all. And I went through, and I Julie set the alarm off again. And she said, right, she said, I think it might be your boots. So I had to take my boots off. So my boots were off, and I eventually got cleared and went through, and managed to put everything back on again without falling over. And then I said, I'm actually with this lady here. And she went, shit, yeah, I'm going to have to scan her too. I'm like, oh, good luck with that. And so I went to get her handbag. And I brought her handbag over, and I put, my bag had already been through. So I put Carlene's bag through, and I went through no problem at all. And then they did the wand on Carlene, and she buzzed all over the place. So we were emptying her pockets, and, you know, her life alert that's around her neck and all this sort of thing. And I was laughing. We got up and we were sitting in the court, and I was making sure Carlene's phone was switched to silent. And in it, she has those metal scissors that she uses for making her monkey fish. She had 3 pairs of those and a pair of full-size scissors. I was like, what are you doing with this in here? And she's like, well, it obviously wasn't a problem. I was like, well, I suppose the sign only said no guns. It didn't say anything about scissors or monkey fist making materials. So anyway, we got in, we were done, and then we got out safely as well. So that was our excitement. I thought, this woman is going to get me into trouble for bringing in offensive weapons, honestly. So what else is happening? The weekend, let's just wait and see what sort of snow we've got going on. Carlene wants to go to Home Depot. She can't find anywhere to get the doors for the ICU, and so she's decided she's going to build them. And I've decided I'm going to run it past Janine before I get stuck as the piggy in the middle. So we may be en route to Home Depot tomorrow. We may not, depending on the weather and depending upon Janine's thoughts on building these doors for the ICU. And I'm trying to work out why we need doors on the ICU. Actually, don't know. I think it's in case Bella wants to bring Ziti. She would like to have somewhere for Ziti to go that gives her in and out space and keeps her nice and safe. So I think that's what she's maybe thinking. Bella is busy making arrangements she's going to take over doing the Woburn job, and it's a really lovely job. In fact, I think it's one of my favourite jobs to do. And it is the centre it's probably young adults with you're slightly on the neurodivergent spectrum, etc. And it's just such a lovely, warm place to go. The staff are fantastic, and the people there, it's a day centre, and the people there are just absolutely wonderful. There's just over 100 people come in on a daily basis, and it really needs more services than is provided for them. So we would like to try and get there, the big team, maybe twice a month, and we're hoping that Bella will go 4 times a month, because Bella obviously has Ziti, and Ziti went with Larky and I the last time, and it was a very lovely visit. So she is going to take over arranging her visits with Ziti, and so that these are things that she can prepare for as a standalone outreach team under the Goldies umbrella. So that's really fantastic, and something that will be very much appreciated. Now, what else is happening? Everybody's outside. Not sure everybody's happy about being outside, but they're outside. And this is super, because it means I might actually be able to get the aisle cleaned up. But I'm not holding my breath, because at the moment, if this snow keeps coming in as it should do, nobody will be outside again. Because they just don't like the snow. So there. Bah humbug. Anyway, never mind. Let me have a wee looky see if we've got questions. No, No. It keeps coming up with a slow connection. Oh no, I am including staff, Cloud, because we saw, I think at least half the people were staff today. And it was really lovely. And it's, you know, whoever we see at any organisation, I include them because, you know, it's all part of the outreach for the organisation in its entirety. So yes, I have included them. Thank you for reminding me. I can hear rustling. It's coming from the goats, and I'm just worried those little stinkers haven't found something naughty to do. And I also, when I put the form in, I know it just says for my name, but I always put my name and Carol's, so that you know which team was out. I know, I need Nick fit and healthy. Oh, let's talk about the guineas. Yes, thank you for reminding me. So last night, I had a massive panic because there was only one guinea in the roof. Which really actually wasn't a problem. Getting there. And I thought, right, this wee thing's going to be so upset and so sad. And then I was also quite worried about where the other one was. So the other one I found inside the chicken coop, which is where it should have been, and where its buddy on the roof should also be. And then I was worried because there's snow coming in and it's getting colder again overnight, and I didn't want the little stinker left out by itself. It obviously wasn't very happy being out by itself either. So I thought, right, okay. I put all the dogs away. The goats were away, and I thought I'm just going to open the door, put the light on. This is in the chicken coop, obviously, and bring the chickens and the other two guineas out onto the area behind the house so that it could see where the other two guineas were and the chickens, and you know, and then they will all go back inside because I would take scratch grains in and throw them on the ground, and everybody's happy. So I did manage to get all the chickens out, and I did manage to round all the chickens back up in the dark because the security light was going on, off. And of course, we've got the very big slope at the back of the house. It goes all the way down the back. So yes, I did count the chickens. And yes, I'm still not sure how many chickens I actually have got because it was a bit of a tricky process. So I was sliding around on the ice with my chickens who were also sliding around on the ice. And then the chickens were like, no bueno. And they all went back inside. The two guinea hens, they went back inside, and the little guinea hen that was on the roof is still on the roof. But the good news is the guinea hen that went into the coop last night is now back on the roof this morning with its buddy. So they can get in the chicken coop. They're choosing not to get in the chicken coop, and I can't leave the chicken coop open at night. So I'm really not very sure what I'm going to do with this one. And it is still noisy. It's not even a case of it's half as noisy. It is still noisy. So I don't know what to do. I am hoping that when I go up there, its little buddy has said, actually, we were being rather stupid staying out here overnight because there is a really nice, warm, heated, I might add, chicken coop down there. So let's get off this roof and get into the chicken coop. And the chicken coop is where the water and the feed lives, because I don't put it outside because otherwise it would freeze, and they don't like walking on the snow, so they won't go out. So it's all mod cons inside. So yeah, thank you for asking about the guineas. I still have two on the roof at this precise moment. I am hoping to go up in that I've got none on the roof, but that would be fortunate. I think I'm actually going to have to try and take a net and the net that we cut the ducks with, if I can find it, and try and net them. But every time I get up there, the little stinkers fly off to the other end, and they're very agile. They also fly off to the other edge while screaming, so they're very noisy and agile. And honestly, I don't know if it works. Oh, there it came back. Don't know how that happened. So I'm presuming most people have gone. So I'll just finish off the question, so it's actually on here just in case anybody wants to watch it again. I've moved position. I don't know if it's going to work any better. Right. Yes, I think the other problem is, Lisa, he was on an aeroplane, so I don't think that helps either. I can tell you more about yesterday's hearing. It was reasonably in depth, and I will say I felt the judge was probably one of the most challenging that we have been before. Before we went in, we obviously got there half an hour. We got there a good amount of time before going to the actual courtroom, because we had a half-hour meeting with Shep beforehand, and Shep didn't know this judge either, and so this was the first time that we'd been as an organisation. Well, not as an organisation, as Caroline and Janine had been in front of this judge. And the man, Shep, had 32 pages of notes, very concise notes, all factually based, to the degree that he had predicted what they were going to present in court and had several different answers to accommodate what he felt would be the likely discussion in court. So I would say that Shep was a very definite shining star, because he was uber prepared, and he needed to be, because this judge was not interested in any flim-flam. All he wanted to know was the facts. And he was, I would say, very thorough in his questioning, and if you didn't have your facts straight, he would on those uncertain terms told you that your facts weren't straight, to the degree that I watched him in previous cases suggesting that things weren't factually right. And I think when you watched his performance in the previous cases, you knew that this was no nonsense, straight down the line. It needed to be provable, and everything was provable. And it was also, I think that it's very difficult going to court, because there are so many different ways to interpret and apply the law to certain advantage. And I'm trying to be very careful, because nobody likes being in court. This has not been a pleasant process, and I'm sure it's not been a pleasant process for Service Dog either. This wasn't anybody's aim in life, it wasn't a life goal to be spending so much time and money and effort and emotion in court. But as, I say to anybody that likes to listen, courts aren't there to listen to who said what, how your feelings were hurt, and why you think, you should be treated in a specific way. That's not what the court's there for. The court's there to understand the basics of the case and apply the law. And that's really all that is required of the court. They don't say, "Oh, somebody looked at you the wrong way and that was terrible," and apply for hurt feelings. So that doesn't happen. It is very, very straightforward, and really what it is a debate as to how you feel the law can be applied to your case. In this case, Shep did an absolutely phenomenal job, and that's where we're at, so nothing changed as of yesterday. Absolutely nothing changed. And that's, I suppose, what we were hoping for, that the previous judgments and the previous judges' comments would be upheld, and they were upheld. So I suppose in very many ways that was kind of like what we expected. But you just never know what happens when you go to court. And sometimes, there are things that you haven't considered. So it was a very interesting process, a very exacting judge. And, that's how it went. So it's never pleasant going to court. I mean, I don't think it's pleasant for anybody. Carlene's uptight, Janine's uptight. I was actually very uptight there, and it wasn't me that was, really directly involved. It is a very upsetting process, and one, let's hope it ends soon. It's that would be, I think, a very good solution for everybody. We've been standing on our own 2 feet here for a year. Goldy's has been up and running for much longer than that. Service Dog, they've had a rebranding. They're moving forward with leaps and bounds, and that's lovely. It's worked out well, I think, for both Service Dog and for Goldy's. And, for that's, a testament to the dedication of the people in either organisation. But I think, there's a time when you just have to say, enough's enough, let's just get it sorted and finished off. So let's hope we're in the final straights and one big push and it gets it finished with, because it's really getting to the stage it's not really worth the oxygen it's consuming. Well, that's my opinion, and my opinion counts for absolutely nothing. Of that I am very convinced. So so it was interesting. It was, unfortunately, when you go to court, there's got to be somebody who comes out and says, "Oh, thank goodness," and somebody else who comes out and says, "Not what I was maybe hoping for." So, and that's, just the sad fact. So, if you've got anything specific, I can answer as best I can. I do not know, Fernanda. I think that would be a question that you would need to direct to Janine. Who would be best placed to answer that? I don't know what's wrong with Nick. He's just not very well, so. I do an excellent job with the visit form. Do you mean by that I do actually sometimes remember to put it in unprompted? I do try. Sometimes I think I should really do this as soon as I come out, but I'm very conscious. Oh, and I must tell you what happened today. I came out today, and Carol and I, we pack the bunny rabbit and his carriage away, and we get Larky in, and I had to go and pick up chicken feed. These chickens eat. These ones down here eat a tremendous amount. So I thought, if this snow's coming in, I better make sure I've got that for the ducks, the chickens, and the whatever else. So I picked all that up, which was great. And I took Larky with me into the co-op, and I was like, I can't believe this. He's shivering. I thought, this is absolutely awful. I said, the poor dog's cold. So I went over and I met Kevin in co-op, and I went over and I was like, big dog coats. I said, what size is this one? He said 4X. I'm like, that one will do. And it was the Baker coat and the Baker check that Caroline was hoping for. I'm going to post a picture on Facebook. And I put the coat on and I said, Kevin, I said, can I just take the label off? I said, I'm really worried. He was actually shivering. And he said, yeah, no problem at all. So I paid for it, got him back in the car. And then Janine called. I said, just to let you know, I had to buy a $44 coat for Larky. I said, I had him in the co-op and I said, he was actually shaking. And she said, what do you think's wrong with him? I said, well, I think part of the problem is we have to travel in the car with the rabbit and we can't put the heat on, so in case the rabbit gets too hot. I said, even me, who doesn't really feel the cold as much as anyone else, I said, I'm freezing too. I said, my hands are like ice blocks. And I said, so I think poor Larky is going to have to travel in the car with a coat on, little soul. But he does have a brand new coat, and Carleen was most delighted. I have the most wonderful team on Meredith, or in fact, I'm part of the most wonderful team on Meredith. On Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, I have Pam. On Fridays, I have Coral. And most Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and these are the morning sessions, I have Cindy. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have Kate. On Saturday and Sunday, I have myself and Nick. And I am technically supposed to do all the evening chores. Kate has been helping me out bigly with the, for which I am exceptionally grateful, with the evening chores. So what's happening at the moment is we're putting out extra hay in the morning, in hay nets and smaller hay nets, so that we don't need to restuff hay bags to get them out. So that's speeding the whole thing up, and then on weekends Nick and I are there, and Kate's horse and my horse, they share a paddock, and we can't feed one without the other because the other one has a fit. So I have left, as of today, I have made his bed and done all the waters and put the food ready steeping, and Kate will put the food out when she brings her horse and my horse in, because otherwise there's a bit of a temper tantrum goes on. But once I come off Goldy's, I'll go back to Meredith on a bit more of a regular basis. It's very difficult because both farms are getting to the stage where there's a lot of tidy up needing done. You know, we've kind of like held things together over the really nasty weather. So now I'm trying to get all the buckets cleaned and get the blankets sorted. So, but we're a really good team. We work together very well. Oh, in fact, you know what? This is terrible. I forgot Emily. Emily volunteers on a Sunday. Oh, sorry. Apologies. We also have Corey. She also helps us. I'm just absolutely terrible at remembering things. So we do have a really lovely team, and everybody works together really nicely. So it's actually quite a smooth operation, believe it or not. We're getting a peacock. If we're getting a peacock, I'm leaving. We better not be getting a peacock. Did Janine say we're getting a peacock? If Janine said we're getting a peacock, I'll be having words with her. So it better not be true. Ugh. Peacocks. Don't need blinking peacocks. No. I think I'm coming to the edge of this. I'm just checking for any more questions. I hope he gets better soon too. He's my heavy lifter. No, he has not been tested for COVID, but there is part of me does wonder, because apparently where he was in Palo Alto. Apparently it's kind of rife and it's doing its rounds again. So, but he is living at the other end of the house with a mask on in common areas, which is very considerate of him. No, I think the problem with, you know, when you're on barns, the cold weather is not your friend, and it's not because of the temperature, it's because of what it does to the ground outside. And you know, we don't have running water in this barn at this precise moment in time, you know, so it's quite the undertaking. But then again, it's quite the undertaking, you know, during the summer as well. Julie is super when she comes and helps. She's very much appreciated. Yeah. If the peacock arrives, I'll be giving Janine the pair of guinea hens, and they can sit on her roof. She will enjoy that with her pig in the house. That'll sort her. There we are. I've got to the end of the questions. And I'm sorry it's been intermittent. It just goes in and out. It's just what it does. So, there we are. Weekend's upon us. Hey, I'm going back up to the house now to make my poor husband something to eat, maybe. He says that'll be a first. So, there we go. I hope everybody has a lovely weekend, and thank you very much for joining me.